साथ आ जाए.
Okay. A brain grows from a tiny skull.
Hello everyone, I am Dr. Vasant Khalatkar, the President of Indian Academy of Pediatrics 2025, who care for children's health. Welcome to this scientific panel discussion hosted by the Indian Academy of Pediatrics only on DocFlix. Today, we are here with renowned pediatricians from all over India to explore insightful and thought-provoking topics that impact child health and well-being. We have strong commitment to provide pediatrics care, and through this dialogue, we aim to share insight, foster collaboration, and enhance our collective knowledge not only for doctors but also for parents and community at large. Nurturing care is essential for early childhood development, providing a stable environment that supports children's health, nutrition, safety, and emotional well-being. By fostering responsive relationships and learning opportunities, we can help children to reach their full potential and thrive in their formative years.
Hello, welcome to our discussion on Nurturing Care for Early Childhood Development, a program by Indian Academy of Pediatrics. I am Dr. Prashant Karya, pediatrician from Surat and Executive Board Member of Indian Academy of Pediatrics year 2024 and 25. With me, we do have Dr. Utkarsh Sharma sir. Welcome sir. He is the Professor of Pediatrics from SGRR Medical College, Dehradun. We also have Dr. Singarvelu sir. He is Professor of Pediatrics from VMMCH Korakalu and at present Vice President of Indian Academy of Pediatrics. Dr. Nehal Patel, she is a Professor and Head of Department of Pediatrics from GMARS Medical College, Sola, Gujarat, and at present an Executive Board Member of Indian Academy of Pediatrics. We also have Dr. Shantanu Deb. He is the Vice President of Indian Academy of Pediatrics for the year 2024.
Namaskar.
Friends, today we all will be discussing about the early childhood development and nurturing care. As we all know, a seed needs a soil, water, air, light, and a nourishment to flourish. The same way, a child also needs a proper environment, a love and care. By that means, the child's potential will be achieved more. WHO says that under 5 years of age, 43% children, that means 250 million children will not reach to their potential if the proper care is not given. This initial years, say for example, the pregnancy 9 months, 270 days, as well as the early 2 years, that is 730 days, that means 1000 days. The early 1000 days are most important for the brain development of a child. During this period, the brain is having millions of neurons which synapses and the connections are made. The rule says either use it or lose it. So, if they use it repeatedly and the stimulus, a positive stimulus is given, then their development will be better. Keeping into this in mind, Indian Academy of Pediatrics is coming with a program, Nurturing Care for Early Childhood Development. So, Dr. Shantanu Deb sir, can you explain us about the components of NCECD? Which are the components?
Yes, NCECD is composed of 5 components. The first is good health. Next is appropriate and adequate nutrition. Third is responsive caregiving. Fourth is opportunities for early learning. And the last one, but very important, is safety and security. So we need to take care of all these components for proper early childhood development.
Yeah, so very good. I mean, all these 5 are most important. And for that, Indian Academy of Pediatrics says that there should be some schedule on which we should advise regarding all these things. So, Utkarsh Sharma sir, can you say a minimum visits which are required that should be there for this NCECD?
As per NCECD, they have enrolled around 11 visits since birth. So we start from the first week. Within first week would be the first visit. Then the second visit should be on the 6th week. Then third is on the 10th week. Then on the 14th week. Then you will ask to come at 6 month, then 9 month, then 12 month, and again then 18 month, 24 month, 30th month and 36th month. So that constitute a whole package of 11th visit, which is mandatorily, so that we can monitor the optimal growth of the baby while they are coming for well baby clinic in our hospital.
Very good, sir. So this 11 visits are most important. But Singarvelu sir, what we are supposed to do during this 11 visits? Can you just say more about that?
Because we are mainly monitoring the growth of the child. In the growth monitoring, what we have to do, apart from recording the weight of the child, we have to take care of the head circumference as well as length of the child if it is below 2 years, then height of the child if the child starts walking. Then nutrition is very important, as he rightly said, and this, by monitoring this, we can, any faltering also we can find out, which we will be discussing later. Apart from that, we will insisting about how the child is growing, behaving. All these things are taken care of during this each visits.
Very good, sir. So, Dr. Nehal, as Singarvelu sir has said, we should monitor weight, height, head circumference and plot it on our WHO or IAP charts. Can you say some red flags by which we can find out the early changes which are there in that and which will help us?
Yeah, Prashant, it's really very much necessary to identify the early red flags. So when we are looking at the child's weight loss or not gaining weight for at least subsequent 2 visits, then it is very much a sign of red flag. Another is in any of the growth chart, if they are crossing the 2 centile lines, either above or below, that is a matter of consideration. And also if the child is having weight, height or head circumference below 3rd centile or more than 97 centile, then we need to consider as red flags.
So rightly said, initially India was considered as a malnourished country. Now we are considered as a malnourished. So both the things has to be seen, and that is perfect. So we have seen a first component of NCECD, that is our growth part. Now the most second important component is the nutrition. So Utkarsh Sharma sir, can you say something? I mean, see, WHO says that the breastfeeding should be started within 1 hour, but the data says it is less than 40%. So can you give some golden rules, that breastfeeding rules which everybody should follow?
Yeah, definitely. This is an integral component of baby's growth if you are not initiating breastfeeding, and there are 7 golden rules of breastfeeding. First thing is that each baby who is being delivered should not be given any pre-lactal feed. The second thing is that the colostrum is essential. That is, colostrum is considered to be the first feed which is yellowish in color and which is, you can say, thick in consistency. That is important to start when a baby delivered. The third thing is that you should start breastfeeding within first hour of life. That is mandatory. That is first golden hour, what we says. That is the crucial thing that we have to start. The fourth thing is that we should give exclusive breastfeeding. Exclusive means that there is nothing except breast milk, not even a drop of water, anything. So you have to give exclusive breastfeeding for first 6 months of the life to that baby. The fifth one is we should start complementary feeding. Along with the breastfeeding, we should start some complementary feed. And the sixth one is we should continue breastfeeding for 2 years or even more, depending upon the circumstances and the family background. And the seventh one is that we should not offer bottle feeding at all during the breastfeeding period. I think these 7 rules are mandatorily followed by each and every newborn mother to the newborn baby.
Perfectly said, sir. So breastfeeding, yes. Bottle feeding, strict no. So that is there. So Singarvelu sir, as Utkarsh Sharma sir said that complementary feed should be started. Now there are many doubts. When to start, what to give, how to increase, what not to give, what to give. Can you throw more light on that?
Yeah. As Sharma sir told, first 6 months exclusive breastfeeding. But that is not sufficient after 6 months of it. So we have to add complementary feeding. Whatever feed we add is called complementary. Along with breastfeeding, that is the most important thing. So it depends on how much of food you are going to give and what is the quantity, how many times you are going to give. That varies between 6 months to 8 months, 9 to 12 months, 12 to 24 months, like that. Say, depending upon the baby, it should not be any scary. So it should be a small quantity, let it be 45 ml. You can give 2 to 3 times feeds. It should be along with the breastfeeding. The most important thing is the consistency of the food. First initially child may not have teeth which may not be able to munch. So it should be given pureed, very soft in consistency. After 8 months, it can be, because two started appearing, you can increase the quantity from 80 ml to 120 ml like that. After that, you can go to 150 ml like that. But the most important when you add food complementary, three things you have to understand. That total quantity alone not counts. The food should be complete. It means it contains proteins, fats, carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, all should be there. Then what type of food you get? It is not monotonously only one type of food. You should introduce fruits, vegetables, whatnot, egg and whatnot, depending their culture, they can add grains and all that. Second, you see that the food is a complete food with balanced food. And it should change, it should not give only one food, so that they should be exposed to all kinds of food gradually over a period of time. If we call it as a rainbow color food, so different colors, it will attract children. So the complementary feeding introduction should be very smooth and it should serve the purpose for the growth of the child. That is more important.
So perfectly said, sir. Nowadays, parents are also saying that sugar and salt. What is your take on that?
Yes. No need, but extra, because whatever food you get, everything contains adequate sugar and salt. So you need not add anything extra, because they will be start without any limit, they will be adding more. That will produce a lot of other things. Better I will advise, no need to add any sugary foods. That's
so
the idea.
Most important thing I think I get is no added sugar or salt.
Yes.
That is what we say. That otherwise everything is there in that.
Yes.
And as sir, you already said that a variety of foods and there are different food groups. Out of that, breastfeeding is most important, because after 6 months, between 6 to 12 months, breastfeeding can give 50% calories. So the complementary feed should give 50% calories, and between 1 to 2 years, it can give 33% calories, and the rest can be from the complementary food. So that is a most important thing, and that is most required thing. So sir, we have discussed about a growth, a nutrition. Now there are some catches in a child which says that it should be a feeding which is enjoyable. So what are the clues which child give, or what are the ways by which a parent can give a responsive feeding to a child?
So Prashant, responsive feeding actually it means a lot, because the meal time should be a positive and enjoyable experience to the child. So whenever we are starting a meal, then try to identify clues about the feeding, that if the child wants that feed, then start the feed. When the child shows some signs of satiety, don't force feed. Just stop there. If the child shows interest by self-feeding, let them enjoy. Even if it is messy, let him enjoy. And as Singarvelu sir said, include some variety in the food, in the taste, in the texture, in the food groups. So everything will be an enjoyable process. Yes, it's necessary also to prevent some negative forces. Like it's a fashion to give a mobile and a TV during the meal time, but they are harmful. So as far as possible, avoid it.
A well point said that screens, child eating while seeing a screen is a crime actually. So the Indian Academy of Pediatrics says less than 2-year-old child, no screen at all. That is what we say. Except for a video call to a father, if he is not there and you just want to talk to them.
Yes, you should talk to the child by any means, either rhymes or anything, and he will enjoy that food process.
Yes. So fine, we have discussed many things, but then when it comes to a development of a child, Shantanu sir, Government of India is doing so many activities. Is there any way by which we can see that this child's development is a normal?
Thank you, Prashant. Actually, we pediatricians are somewhat guilty of testing development or checking development in unstructured manners. So, Government of India has introduced a very useful card which is called the MCP card, Mother Child Protection Card, by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and the Ministry of Child Development. And the beauty of this card is it is pictorial. There is inclusion of both genders, inclusion of both parents as caregivers, and it has been translated into most Indian languages, and it is available in English also, and it is very easy for the mother to use that card if taught by a Anganwadi or a Asha worker or any assistant from your clinic who can teach the mother. So the mother can herself do some markings in the card or ticks in the card, and then she can interpret certain things in the card. The card can be used from 2 months to 36 months, and there are 7 age brackets in which all the activities are listed. So the activities are divided into green, blue and the red zone. In the green zone are the activities that the child should attain normally by this age when the visit is happening. In the blue zone is a guidance to the parents on what early stimulation they can do. And in the red zone is any red flag or any abnormal development which shows up in the red zone.
Good, sir. So that means we do have a proper questionnaire
Yes.
by which we can say this is normal
Yes.
or abnormal, and that should be used instead of asking when does your started walking, when was the first word. Instead of that, you just tick it. So by this ticking, can we say this development is a normal or abnormal?
Actually, more than a questionnaire, it is a checklist, and
Yes,
checklists
yeah.
are supposed to be very efficient. So these actually shows us whether the child is developing normally or atypically. Normal development would be when there are all the boxes in the tick boxes in the green zone are ticked and there is no tick in the red zone. And atypical development means there is at least one tick in the red zone and at least one missing tick in the green zone. So that way the mother also can understand that there is some problem. Mother has to bring to the notice of the doctor.
And that missing is actually in the previous table.
Yes,
That is
previous
most
tables.
important.
Second thing, it is only pictorial.
Yes.
Even a mother, uneducated mother,
Yes.
can by looking at the picture,
Yes.
whether this child is fitting with this, easily identify. That is the importance of this.
Health workers should take some time to explain to the mother how to utilize the card.
Once we explain, they will learn it. But that
Yes.
is the beauty that this MCP card should be used by the parents themselves, and we just observe it. We
Yes.
just check it whether they have done it right or wrong.
Yes.
Now, one more development which we are seeing as we have discussed a screen, and that this many children are actually having some autism spectrum disorders, and for that also we do have some checklist, and that is called as a MCHET. I'll just say something about the MCHET, sir, because that is a developmental screening.
This is very important.
Yeah. And this is some questions, 21 questions are there, which parents has to answer only in yes or no.
Yeah.
And the scoring is given out of that. Out of that, there are few questions in that questionnaire which are actually all the questions are yes answer is a typical answer. But say for example, a question number 2 which says, have you ever wondered your child is deaf? And if the answer is yes, that means it is atypical answer. So in that way, if we find some scoring, that can be a screening on MCHET, and we can give some score and find out autism spectrum disorders only by asking this typical 21 questions. And we can actually grade them like 0 to 2, only a follow-up is needed. Next month, you again check it, whether it's still there, then you go for MCHET follow-up chart, which will be helpful. 3 to 6, again we can see that yes, mild problem is there, and more than 7, always a problem, and refer to a developmental pediatrician should be done. So this type of screening will also help for the development of a child. So MCP card and MCHET. I mean, MCHET can be started from 16 months onwards till 36 months. So that is the most important. That yes, MCP card start at 2 months.
Yes.
MCHET start first at least at 16 months. So that is a message which we want to
The
give.
tools are very essential for all the children.
And as the prevalence of autism is increasing, pediatricians need to incorporate the
MCHET
MCHET screening also in their practice.
So you said that it is increasing, but nowadays we are also seeing that, Singarolu sir, that parents are complaining that child is becoming stubborn, throwing the tantrums.
Yes.
All this type of things are there. And early childhood development says that yes, you have to control that by a positive discipline. So can you give some guidance to parents regarding that also?
Because parents should know what are all the unacceptable behavior. But once it is there, they should not get perturbed. They should remain calm and watch the child, and they should make the child to understand, because now even the 1 or 2 year child can understand, but they should be stern and they should not be very forcible. They should not beat the child and they should not strictly impose, but they should keep calm, and gradually the child should be made to understand, and it should not be a very scary event. That is more important. You can praise the child. If the child is doing good things, you have to validate the child is doing a good work. These are the very important thing. Then you should not screening, as you rightly said. You should not calm the child by giving chocolates or screen. That will lead to a very wrong habits. You should be stubborn in your thing, and the child should be made to realize where they are ending, and you should make the child calm and gradually should remove from the environment. That is more important. Once you distract the child, not by compromising other things, definitely the child will accept. Gradually over a period of time, child will become normal.
So perfectly said. Most important thing is stay calm. When the child is throwing tantrums, see that child is not injuring and then stay calm. Most important thing which I learned, sir, ignore. Because they know that if I do this, then my needs will be fulfilled and they will do it repeatedly. So ignoring, attention seeking is the, we all are attention seekers. So that is there.
Positive reinforcement also.
Most important, good behavior, positive reinforcement, bad behavior, negative. That should be, that will not be accepted.
Way of learning.
That is most. And sir, one thing which I learned from my teacher was a timeout method. A timeout method is fixed.
Give some time.
Age of a child, minutes you should ignore. That means if the 3-year-old child is banging ahead, I'll just wait for 3 minutes and by 3 minutes child will be calm. So that is most important thing. And that is the timeout method should be. But most important again, watch the child is not injuring himself or herself. In that case, we may have to intervene early also. So Santanu sir, can you say when should it be started and how it should be done? What are the ways by which we can have a better childhood development?
See, Prashant, with this we come to the next pillar of early childhood development, which is opportunities for early learning. Learning occurs, opportunities for early learning means that learning which happens in the first 3 years. So in these first 3 years, whatever the child learns leads to knowledge, acquiring new skills, their behavior and their attitudes in future. So it is very important for parents to understand that this age is important for them to learn, and the learning which happens in this age is experiential learning, because it is not the traditional way of teaching a child, it is experiential. That means the child learns through experiences, and the first teachers are the parents of the child who gives this experiential learning. But the tragedy is that parents have to be told, because they have very little idea how to communicate and play with their children, because what has happened is over the generations, now because of changing societal norms, there was one parent who was working, now both parents go for work, so children are exposed to less play by their parents. Parents themselves did not play with small children, so they themselves do not know what to play, how to play with their children. And then finally, learning happens through play, communication and reading. These are the main ways by which learning happens in children, so in this age group.
So very good. Say that learning happens through a play and a reading.
Yes.
And many a times we are having a concern that for play we need a toy, and a toy should be expensive toy. Then and then the child will enjoy. So Utkarsh sir, is it true, or we can have a play without the toys or a non-expensive toys?
Dr. Prashant, the play is the beauty of understanding the early ways of learning, as sir has told. That when you play with that baby, it should be inclusive. When you include your family, your parents, and when they are playing with you, it may be a trick like if you are going to get some vegetable, you just ask them count how many fruits are there, or you can pick a brew, or you can use some blocks, and they can play with that. You can also narrate some stories. Right, as sir has told that they also learn so many things by saying. So when in our times there was joint family, and we have our other peer age children, grandmother, grandfather, they used to play with those babies and they have patience to listen them, and that is very important. When you are playing, it is not the toys which matter, it is the interaction, it is hand-eye coordination. It is your responsive caring to that baby when they are growing up, how you are unfolding their myths, their sometimes your caring is observing. So when the baby you give the opportunity of playing, you make them role play, like you narrate some story, make some like Sita, Ramayana, and there are many stories. So they correlate these things, and they also develop that how they behave with or develop a relationship with their elderly father, mother, and that starts from the very beginning. So playing is not only playing, it is a learning. You make new synapses, and these synapses actually when you repeat them, they become good habits. So inculcating good habits is the fundamental of playing and fundamental of learning opportunities for that new babies, which he already tell that what are those opportunities. Playing is one of them.
And also creativity will increase when they start
Definitely.
playing.
And one thing more, when you start playing, you said nowadays everybody is focusing towards screen. Now I would like to say screening is so addictive. It is more addictive than smack or drugs. It has been in Lancet. There are many studies which are published that if you start giving baby screen, it halt the language development as well as it decreases the playful activity of that baby and adversely impact the developmental outcome. So that is very detrimental, that never use screen, and it should not be habit in your culture when you are in your home. You also, because if you are doing, he will also follow. You are the role model of that baby.
Yeah.
So you should also.
So most important is machine should not be given. A man
should be
human
there.
should be there.
Human should be
so
there.
that is there.
There is
And one more thing.
advantage of play by parents with their children.
Yeah.
When the parents also, their stress levels also reduce. They have more
Yes.
bonding with
Good
their children.
relationship.
They know the teach the
Need-
children their
need of
boundaries
the
and the need everything. So it is very fulfilling for
Very
the parents
fulfilling.
also.
So you are giving a quality time to your child for a better childhood
care.
development. Yes. Sir, one thing which you said, and I would like to ask Dr. Nehal also, that reading. And when will you start reading to a child? I mean, that is most important. That
Definitely.
we say that is the first skill that should be there. So when should you start reading?
So when the newborn starts reading, it's newborn or it's a parent. So
Yeah.
what we can say is, even if the child is in the womb,
Yes.
so during pregnancy also you can speak to your child, you can read something to your child. When the child comes out, even in the preterm, we say they see. They like the bright contrast of white and black. So you can make a picture, you can show them. That is also a reading. When the child grows after 6 months, you can use the bright pictures to the child. Initially, you can start with one picture on one page, and then when the child identifies, enjoys it, you can then start with some stories or some rhymes, anything that can be introduced. So reading is a process and it can be started from the womb. But
Even
I
by
would like to tell.
touch also the picture.
Yes,
Yes.
touch the pictures.
They can
That is
know,
also
yeah.
the child likes to
Tactile is
touch.
the
Yes, the
earliest
texture
sense.
is also
Yes,
very
texture
nice.
also.
And it has been also been mentioned in literature that the child never gets bored with the caregiver's voice.
Caregivers also.
So it is soothing for the child also to continuously hear the same story and the same voice also. That
And
also.
that's also
And the most
improves the
important thing
parents'
which I
bonding.
think is, if you say repeatedly, the child will repeat and the vocabulary
Yeah,
of child will
vocabulary child will
increase.
improve.
Language-
So that is
linguistic
also
development.
improvement in a childhood
Yeah.
development.
Yes. But
So,
can
sir-
we pediatrician also do something for this reading?
Yes, definitely. We should keep books in our waiting area.
Yes.
Yeah,
So parents are
that is
reading
the
and
best.
actually children will learn from that time only.
And toys also, age appropriate toys
Yes.
can be
Yes.
kept in
That
boxes.
could
So
be.
the mothers learn
And
what toys
non-electronic
they have
toys. That is the
Yeah.
most important.
Toys
Should
without
be
small
short,
parts.
Yeah.
Short part.
So sir, when you said small parts, it comes to our fifth component or a pillar of a NCECD, and that is a safety and a security.
Yes.
Can you tell why these children are actually more prone to injuries?
Very important because they have a lot of physiological problems because of which they are more prone to injuries. They are curious by nature, they are explorative by nature, they do not understand the meaning of a hazard, they cannot judge distances, they cannot judge the presence of water on the floor, they can sleep. Their head is heavier, their head is larger, which makes them more vulnerable to falls. Their skin is thin, which makes them more vulnerable to burns. Then because they are small, their body size is small, they can easily have more fatal dose of poisons when they injure some toxin.
In a small dose also.
In a small dose also. So
They'll be
these are
curious
usually-
to explore things.
Yes.
So they will touch everything into mouth and
And
that
physiologically, they are prone to have choking.
So and that's the reason that under 3,
Yes.
majority accidents are happening,
Yes.
like falls, burns, poisoning,
Yes,
choking,
yes.
everything.
Yes.
So Dr. Neil, can you say something? How do we prevent this type of injuries, like falls or drowning?
Yes, Prashant. So to prevent the fall, what we can do is the parent can barricade the area like the staircase. The children are used to go to sofa and then jump on the table and then jump. So be with them so that they don't hurt themselves. The big things like the TV, they should be fixed to the furniture. The angulator things, they should not be there in the house. So
And even if it is there, it should be covered.
it should be
Yeah,
covered.
yeah.
Then to prevent the burns, the hot water, the hot liquids, they should not be in the vicinity of the child. And the geyser, that should be set to the temperature of less than 50. The electric shock, that should also be prevented, so that electric things the wire should not be open and they should be out of the reach of the child. The drowning, that needs to be prevented, because small children, they are used, even sometimes they drown in the bucket. So buckets, swimming pools, everything, they should be at a distance to the child, and a parent should be there with the child. The toilet should also be covered, and if the child is learning swimming, use the government approved floating devices.
Yes, that is the most important.
And homemade poisoning is very common, where toilet items, other things should be all properly kept, and it should be in the appropriate bottle. It should be tightly sealed,
Yes.
including the drugs. Parents may be taking drugs. All should be properly. These are the main common things which are hazardous to the
And one
growing
more may
children.
be a choking.
Choking,
Yes.
yeah.
So what could be
Choking.
done in a choking?
I think choking, the most common things, like if the baby is very curious, as sir has already described, that anything like a tablet, nuts or something, they have a habit of
Yes.
keeping everything inside the mouth, and sometimes that may go to the respiratory area, and the baby may have choking sensation and feeling of breathlessness and all that. So you should avoid, rather you should supervise any drug, any tablet, because adults are also there. They may keep tablet open. They have habit of keeping it, putting in mouth. Rather, toxicity itself drug can cause, but this tablet itself can be lead to choking sensation, and that may be life-threatening for that baby.
Apart from that, the food which they prepare, it should be age appropriate.
It should
And
be.
That
They
should
should
be the
not be-
consistency of the food also should
like
be there.
peanuts.
Yeah.
These all things are very vulnerable for choking and all that.
Yeah. So, sir, I think we have covered all 5 areas which are there
Yeah.
for the NCECD:
Yes.
the adequate growth, good nutrition, opportunities for early learning,
Responsive
responsive parenting, caregiving, and safety
Safety
and
and
security.
security.
And by this, if we take care, then the child may reach to a potential which is much, much higher.
Yes.
So
I think
thank you.
one important thing, the abuse is nowadays increasing. It is
Yes.
not only physical abuse, sexual abuse, and all that
Yeah.
we have to take care of. We have to see that, because as days goes on, these points has to be stressed about physical abuse. Because by looking at the child, if the injuries are not routinely happening, the place it is happening, so we can have a suspicion. Sometimes developmentally child is not getting along, because they will not care about nutrition and all that.
They may
The
neglect it.
environment also will be that. Most important thing, sexual abuse, because if the child is withdrawn, not active, and have a fear about other things, because nowadays medias and also are talking about sexual abuse. These things also should be taught to children properly.
The most important point which you raised was the physical abuse or a neglect. Along with that, a
yes.
sexual abuse.
Yes.
I mean, the problem is sexual abuse is a taboo. Nobody talks about it.
Yes.
And as a pediatrician, if we keep a picture in our waiting area in which a
Bad
safe
touch,
touch and
good touch.
unsafe
Good touch
touch,
and bad
the
touch.
picture is there, then the parent will definitely ask.
Ask.
They will teach. And then they will share that yes, this is a safe or unsafe touch. If it happens to you, please report to us, report to a child line,
Yes.
and by this you can actually have a
Awareness.
better awareness also.
Yes.
Thank you so much, everyone. We all have given a wonderful insight on all the 5 pillars of NCECD, and I hope this will help to our pediatricians. So thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us as we embark on this important conversation for the future of our children.